one thing that I've seen over the last 2 years is not the ease at which something can happen, but when you can put the focus, you can clearly say, this is what I'm going to do, and you can put the focus towards it, and you can bring others in to supplement where you're weak. You can see things get done.
Awesome Inc. presents the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame, a show that highlights how people throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky pursue their definition of awesome through entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. What's up, awesome people? On today's episode, we're going to be hearing from Chase Fairchild, and Chase is a co-founder of Manchester Coffee Co. and Manchester Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. In his life and work, he focuses on building relationships with people first, no matter what. He is constantly exploring new opportunities for growth and looking to see where and how he can connect people both professionally and personally. Let's dive on in. Man, I'm so pumped that you are here in the Awesome Inc. space with us today, and that the people who are listening in will get to hear about your story, because you, again, like some of the other people we've talked with, do a lot, and many people probably don't know, but they've touched either your product or used your services, and I'm really excited for you to share your story.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It's kind of fun.
It's only kind of fun.
It's super fun. I'm getting to look into a microphone like I'm in a recording album, like a studio, and just get to sing my heart out. But it's I'll talk my heart out. So
all right. The only requirement I have is that you sing at least one answer on here.
Okay.
At some point today.
Deal.
Okay, sweet. So hey, let's dive on in. So what is some of your background? How did you end up in Lexington? How did you end up getting involved with what we call the entrepreneurial community?
Yeah, man. So I was actually born and raised here in Lexington. Was the first one of my family born and raised here, though. My mom's from Richmond, Kentucky. My dad is from Eastern Illinois, or Southern Illinois, rather. And grew up here in town. Went to Lexington Christian Academy, kindergarten through high school, and was involved in like a lot of different stuff. Just like a kind of a typical childhood. I had played sports and rode bikes around in the summer. And then, I think my kind of first little bit of entrepreneurship came from my mom. My mom taught marketing at what was Lexington Community College, but now is BCTC. And so she always kind of was encouraging me to be creative with business. So I think the first thing I did that was kind of in that realm was I was in second grade. I was in an airport, and I think entrepreneurship always starts with a problem. So it was heavy delays. It was Christmas time, and all the places there are like almost out of food, or like they're closed down. And so we were just really hungry, and I just started like writing stuff down. I was like, I'm going to create a restaurant called the Kid Cafe, where kids can get food and blah, 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 a restaurant. And so I actually started working on it. And in second grade, my mom helped me execute the Kid Cafe at my school for a project. So kids prepared food, made money, learned about entrepreneurship.
It sounds kind of dirty.
It wasn't dirty. I mean, it was learning. It was educational. But definitely my mom, she definitely encouraged entrepreneurship. And then when I was in seventh grade or sixth grade, middle school, I started mowing yards. Started with my parents' house, made $15 in cash, used my parents' mower. By the end of the summer, I was mowing the whole block. By the end of high school, I had about 60 yards under contract and was employing my friends and leaving school early to try and go meet the quota and printing out directions to these things, learn how to do invoices, all that stuff. And so I've kind of always had that little bit of an entrepreneurial bug. Wasn't super interested in school, but always really interested in creating something from nothing. And so in college, I actually came to Awesome Inc. my freshman year for a startup weekend. And that was kind of my first exposure to the local entrepreneurship community. Matt Hogg and Brian and Nick and Luke.
all the original people.
And so it was 2010.
Yeah, when we first started.
And so it was really fun. I mean, just the high energy of learning how to I had a small little company. It was so stupid.
What was it?
It's called Nice Sportswear.
Nice Sportswear, huh?
And it came off of a pun. This is before I learned how to discern good ideas versus bad ideas. But I was like, I'll make a shirt that's like, people say, that's a nice shirt. And it is a nice shirt. And I was like, looking back, that's unbelievably stupid. But I rolled with it, and I developed it at Startup Weekend, and I kind of ended up twisting it to be this accomplishment wear. So it was like kind of like a bumper sticker, like you run a half marathon, you get a 13.1 on the back. So it was like a shirt. It said 13.1 nice. So I developed like these little prototypes and got exposure into like the clothing world, retail world, and turned a profit.
Hey, that's good.
And I closed the company down after that. But so that's kind of how I started to kind of get my foot in. And then in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I changed my major a lot, like a lot of kids do. I knew that I wanted to be in Lexington, and I knew that I wanted to marry my girlfriend, who I dated since high school. And so we went kind of looking what we want to do. I stumbled upon a relatively new program at UK called ISC, which is Integrated Strategic Communications. Sounds way more fancy than it is. But essentially, I got a degree in advertising, and specifically how to use creativity to drive revenue for businesses. So in those classes, I learned a lot about campaigns and objectives and communication. And so I was always kind of drawn to that. And I graduated from college and was really involved with Young Life in college. And then right after I graduated, I went on staff with Young Life for 3 years and did a lot of fundraising, leader development, direct outreach with kids. I coached football, programming, did a lot of upfront stuff. Young Life has like a large part of it is, I don't want to say theatrics, but they like laughing. So they invest in a lot of sketch comedy, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, sketch, improv, high energy.
Yeah, high energy.
Keep that focus.
You break down barriers with laughing. And so when time came for me to leave Young Life, I was looking at kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to enter back into the creative realm, and film school was something that I was kind of drawn to. And so kind of explored some options there and ended up reaching out to an old friend who went to film school and locally, and he was the marketing director for Wildcat Warehouse.
Okay.
So yeah, I go to Wildcat Warehouse, and that's where I really fell in love with digital marketing. It's where I learned the most about how do you impact sales through messaging. And there was 100% this element of storytelling there. It was University of Kentucky. It was a premier brand for the Wildcats. And so I got to really kind of cut my teeth there coming out of the nonprofit world, getting to cut my teeth there on storytelling. And so from Wildcat kind of was this crazy pinball of next companies. It was a very entrepreneurial setting. So, 6 months in, we started another company called Provisions, which I'm the brand manager for, and we've donated 200,000 meals to Kentuckians in need. And it was this incredible project. And then Provisions led into an agency called Brand Animal. And Brand Animal was really fun. We did a lot of really cool brand projects with companies, had an awesome office space. It was 3 really close friends who really worked well together. And we learned a lot about ourselves in that time, about storytelling, about passions, about what do you want to do. And I had kind of reached a point where I had really been doing the business thing, had been doing sales, had been doing marketing. And at the core, I still had this desire to tell stories. I was selling website packages and branding packages, stuff that's super important. But at the heart, I missed kind of telling stories and really felt like there was a little piece missing, And so I ended up leaving Brand Animal and said, I'm going to try and do this film thing full time, or I'm going to try and pursue it. So I'm going to work. I'm going to work in the meantime, and I'm going to kind of build up my chops. I'm going to take online classes. I'm going to go up to Chicago. I'm going to start creating locally, that sort of stuff. And that's what I did for pretty much all of 2018. And so that led me to a company called Legit Apps, which is a software company here in town, an incredible company my friend started in college, and they've grown this thing into an incredible platform for schools and colleges and events and cities, and they have an amazing program over there. And so while I was working that, I was doing sketch stuff with a mutual friend of ours, Chad Zigmund. Was doing some short film stuff. Was learning a ton, utilizing masterclass online, taking Steve Martin's stuff, Martin Scorsese, and learning a lot about film, reading a lot of books, just writing a lot, connecting a lot with creatives in town, because I was hearing about, you need to meet with this guy. He's works in film. He's blah, blah, blah. I kind of went on this journey where I kind of opened up my hands and said, I want to make things in Lexington. I don't want to have to move to Atlanta or Nashville or Chicago or New York or LA. I want to create here. And so I think kind of what happened was I started to connect with people and find that there's all these islands pockets of people who want to create things, who want to tell stories here in Lexington. And so it all kind of came to a head with this opportunity to do what I'm doing now.
Chase, you had your hands all over, and you have a very immersive and impressive background with all the companies you've either helped found or be a part of. We're going to talk here in a second about Manchester Studios and Manchester Coffee Co. But what is the common thread that you've seen yourself be part of with, Legit Apps, Brain Animal, Provisions, Wildcat Warehouse, Young Life? Can you tie into all those real quickly before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a thread of just like uniting people to do something extraordinary. I think every single one of those chapters in my life grew an area in me that I needed to develop. And so, I can't think back and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or I wish I would have done this. I got everything that I could have from each chapter there, whether in Young Life, it was learning how to keep a calendar. I was right out of college, learning how to consult somebody in a difficult situation, learning how to deal with things that, learning how to ask people for money. It was hard. It wasn't traditional like a sales thing. Sales is kind of the same way, but fundraising was something that was really intimidating, and then something that I really actually enjoyed. And then so I can expound on every single one of those little stops, but I think everything about each place was the people, and I think the teamwork was like the common thread of like, okay, all these people with different gift sets come to the table, and they say, I'm going to add this, you add this, and then it just kind of makes up for everybody's. We kind of cover ground that way, and we can get something done. And that was the coolest thing when we launched Provisions. It was great. It was like, this thing's out there. I'm going out to like 4 or 5 news stations. I've sent out press releases. People are coming to the store and they have the product that we thought of, in their hands. It was a really neat thing. And so I think that's the coolest thing, is seeing something that came from your mind or your, the group think kind of thing. Like, 3 of us thought of this thing, and here it is being used by somebody who doesn't know who we are. It's not our friends, it's not our family. That might be the most addicting feeling in the world, for somebody to enjoy something that you created, whether that's a product, a story, a song, whatever, and I think that's really what I love. And that's kind of what I chase, is creating things that for people to enjoy, that people can make a part of their lives. But yeah, I think it's that creating something that what didn't exist before, and seeing people use it and enjoy it, and it make their lives better,
Continuing the story of you and your creation. Wow, that sounded really intense, but it's true. It's of what you're creating. When and how did your newest ventures, both Manchester Studios and Manchester Coffee Co., come into the mix? What was like the origin story? What prompted you to literally shift gears and get into maybe an area where this is your first time venturing off into?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes back to what I said about teams of people with different skill sets coming together. I've always been an ideas guy, and I've always been a people person, and so I think there was a bit of that. So I had started working with Legit Apps and was loving it. We were doing some really cool stuff as far as scaling, and I was approached by a friend of mine who I went to high school with. Her and her husband are both really good friends of mine. Grew up together. And actually, they just got married, but she had an opportunity to start an ad agency, which I had been a part of, starting one before. And, I had left. And so it was kind of not something that I was, really like, okay, well, I want to do this again sort of thing. But I didn't say no. And I said, okay, let's talk about what this looks like. We just started brainstorming and just started talking about what Lexington needs, what Lexington could benefit from, what's happening in Lexington. How do you add to the narrative of this city? And how do you help continue to elevate it and grow it and contribute to what people like you all are doing, and the Breakout Games guys and the No Lie guys? I mean, there's a list that goes on and on of people that are doing really cool stuff in this city. And so there was just a big conversation, and I had just recently been out to San Diego for a trip, and I saw James Coffee Company, which is like this really cool space. It was, I guess, multi-purpose. It was a coffee roaster and a cafe, and it was in this like old warehouse, which was very cool. And as you walked in, there was like probably these 12 by 12 foot, 15 by 15 foot glass dividers, and each one of those things was a store. It was like a barbershop in the back, and there was, eyeglass store, and there was apparel and all this. And it was like a really cool vibe. I said, man, I've never seen this concept before. This would really do a good job in Lexington, I feel like. And so I just kind of had that idea in the back of my head, and had a friend who is an unbelievable coffee roaster, coffee master, who was looking to do kind of a new deal, wanted to start something new. And so that was kind of the back of my mind. And so we started talking about this idea for a space in Lexington where that would be kind of similar, a place where you can get unbelievable coffee, mixed-use retail space, creative co-working space for people to start new things. So this idea of Manchester Studios kind of grew into that. And so me and my two partners, Maddie Duff and Sam Duff, kind of started building this. And so we brought in Jeff Ross to help us build the coffee, and then we brought in Lydia Lane to help us build Manchester Studios. And we've just been kind of getting some processes in place. And in October, we started planning this in May, started talking about what does this look like? What does it look like to help elevate creativity in Lexington? To kind of give Lexington a jolt of creativity. And we said it's a space. So we started, working on some concepts and acquired some land. And that's kind of part of the future vision, and it's 100% a shared vision. It wasn't, it was something that I saw, but that Sam and Maddie and others have given life to, and have kind of helped bring to fruition. And so, late 2020, early 2021, this space is going to go up. It's going to be fantastic. But right now, kind of present day, what we have is Manchester Studios is a small marketing agency that helps small businesses save time, make money.
Oh, why do you think James Coffee, like the layout you saw in California, is that correct?
Yeah.
Why do you think that would do so well in Lexington? And then also, you said the phrase like a jolt of energy.
Yeah.
What's the problem? I know the answer, but what's the problem that you've seen in Lexington in terms of the creative people and the creative community?
Yeah, I think, so one thing is I feel like I'm an outsider to the creative world a little bit. I didn't grow up in the arts or any of that sort of stuff. There's a robust arts community here.
Yeah, you're a football star.
Sure. No. But I did play football, and was very much in that world. But I kind of like to bounce among all the different friend groups, and high school, as cliquish and as crappy as that seems, I always kind of I just kind of floated and kind of blended in with a lot of different groups, and had friends who were in the arts, and always kind of wanted to be, but just never did. I did in middle school. I had a teacher. This is like going back. I'm gonna start crying. No, in middle school, I had a teacher who 100% definitely said, "Chase, you're gifted in this. You should pursue it." She let me do independent film study in 8th grade. So Miss Medlock, if you're listening to this, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Medlock. Appreciate
She's
it.
Not listening to it, but she really did invest in me, and I just recently kind of had that revelation of she 100% gave me the tools to say, create something, make a new story, do something new. And I think I've always kind of been chasing that. So, I kind of come out, I leave, the startup to go pursue creativity, to pursue storytelling. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? I don't have a blueprint for this, And so the first thing I do is start connecting with other people who want the same things. So what I started to see was that, and this isn't really in our control, but a lot of creatives, super talented people, whether it's musicians or writers or actors or filmmakers or producers or you name it, are moving to bigger markets. They say Lexington doesn't have it, it doesn't have what it takes.
The connections, the resources, the companies,
people aren't here, which might be a true thing, and you got to understand that, Nashville, Atlanta, and Chicago, LA, whatever, the bigger markets have, better offerings when it comes to that sort of stuff. And so I was frustrated because I really was trying to I've decided to live my life here. I love Lexington. I think it's fantastic place to live and grow up, obviously, being from here. And
yeah, this is your turf, baby.
And also I just think I see an opportunity here, having seen what's happened in the last, 9 years since, even the last 5 years in Lexington. I feel like it's been just so many people, there's people in restaurants doing so many creative things like Pearls and County Club and Carson's next door. I mean, people are even elevating the culinary game here too.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are coming in, and things that didn't exist growing up here are here now, and they're just so cool. The microbreweries. And so I think I see just kind of a rising tide of just people saying, we're going to make a great life here in Lexington. And so the opportunist in me says, I want to stay here. I want to be a part of this, I want to be a part of ushering in this new era of Lexington, because I know that selfishly, I know that in the end, I'm going to be happy that can you imagine if you were part of Nashville, 15 years ago, and helping 12 South and helping the Gulch and being on the front end of those sort of things. And now, not just from a financial standpoint, but just from like that fulfillment, of saying, man, this, and there's also, you can go down a rabbit hole here with gentrification and that sort of stuff, which is
that's a conversation.
That's another conversation with people who are much smarter than you and I.
Both of us.
But, the other thing is, the parts of town that are being restored here were literally run down. Like the Distillery District, those were empty warehouses. And now they're vibrant. These empty, condemned buildings are now, I think there's another message there that is really cool and speaks to us on a different level. Something that is like broken down, useless, that serving a purpose, is not only usable, but is like vibrant, restored, and bursting with life. I think there's something really cool about that, and so I feel like there's opportunities to do that here. So that's kind of where that came from, so I think Lexington has a great opportunity for people who want to kind of get into the nitty gritty, want to get down and start doing stuff here. I feel like it's a great place to do it. Low cost of living, relatively speaking. And you have the internet, you have an airport,
What else do you need?
I mean, there's great coffee shops in town.
Yeah.
There's, so there's you got the university, you got 40,000 students coming in every year, so you have a funnel. You got Transy as well, you got EKU, you got BCTC. You have all these young people, these young minds being shaped. I just get so excited I get so excited by opportunity of like, oh my goodness, like there's so much here for the taking. Let's build stuff. Let's do things, and
and that's going to be part of the solution for how we retain people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people leave, but I feel like I had friends who were, I went to UK obviously, and I had friends who weren't from here who live here now. They fell in love with Lexington in college.
Oh, that's
here you go.
Some of the
Point
awesome
in case.
people as well.
Yeah, and you're a Louisville boy, so. But I think there's just a lot to be excited about in this city, and so I think part of this project was wanting to get involved with it, and I think kind of my role with the creative stuff is when you look at any society, just in the course of human history, when arts and culture are elevated, the society flourishes. I mean, look at Harlem, you look at California in the 60s and 70s. Some of the best music in the world was made there. It's because people were flocking there. And I think the same thing right now is true in Nashville and Atlanta. There's something in the water there, and people are flocking to it. And so I think part of that is a creative revival, and I want Lexington to have at least a mini one,
Yeah.
So people can come in here and Lexington can have its own voice of saying, that's Lexington, and so that's kind of where it all stems from, I think.
I love it. Well, hey, we'll continue going on towards the Manchester coffee story. So I've checked out your space a few times. That's kind of where our friendship actually really kicked off, and we've kindled things. And I've really enjoyed the atmosphere of just simply being. And I think that's one of the coolest things. And your guys' mission there is, it's a mission to cultivate creative community. Again, this is a common thread of what we've talked about with all your companies, and that's what you're currently doing. Everyone loves coffee. Everyone loves being together. What do you hope that your mission of cultivating this creative community, what do you hope specifically that entails? What is success for you?
Man, I think there's, I'm just always been fascinated with coffee shops. I didn't get into coffee till college, or towards the tail end of high school. But, a coffee shop is just this little microcosm of like people. Just like there's people in there that are working on homework. There's people in there that are reading a book. There's people in there on their first dates. Alan was on your podcast, Alan Warford?
Yeah, he was on our previous episode.
So Alan and I were together at Chocolate Holler a year ago, and we saw a couple break up. Yeah. So there's people going on first dates. There's people breaking up, and you got to ask him. I should have been before him,
ask him.
so you could ask him about that.
I'll ask him off the record for the sake of that couple.
We'll have a bonus content for that with him. Break it down. We'll do a reenactment.
Oh my goodness!
I got you a gift. Thank you.
We're done.
I got to tell you something. That's basically how it went down. But, so it is it's like this place where life happens, and so I think I just love the kind of the yin yang element of a coffee shop where you got all this stuff starting and then you got the stuff slowing down. And I think if you look at that, that's the story of coffee too. So coffee is this long process where it grows and you pick it and you pick the cherry and then you get the seed and then you roast it and then you bag it and then you serve it. So many different ways it can be expressed. You can extract the flavors out of it, and it's a story. It's a story of the country that it was grown in, the land, the terroir, the people, the story of the plant. I mean, it's just like the weather, just like in wine, So you have this long story, this long journey for this bean to get to your cup, and you drink it, and it gives you energy. It gives you caffeine. It gives you this.
Gives you that jolt.
It gives you that jolt, right? But at the same time, it's this long story, and it's this quick response, and it's just like. It's just this give and take, and I think it kind of, is the same element of a coffee shop where you have that. You have this, and so like our logo is
good. I was literally just about to ask this question. Yes, yeah.
Our logo is polarizing. No, I don't know. My dad said it's satanic, but it's not that at all.
I don't think it is.
He's just old. He's old school.
Yeah.
But it's a skeleton. It's a skull, and going through the skull is a lightning bolt, and that kind of, the skull represents just kind of like all commonality, right? We're all humans, and we all have the same 168 hours in a week that everybody else does. You and I have the same as Jeff Bezos, and look what he does, kind of thing. So there's that. But at the same time, you and I are the same. So it doesn't matter that he's him and I'm me, or that you're you. Like, we're the same. So there's that. It's a common place where everybody's kind of welcome. Not everybody's kind of welcome. Everybody's welcome. And then the bolt is creativity, inspiration, drive, ambition.
That jolt.
I'm going
to keep coming back to this jolt. Just so you know.
But then also it's very, very elemental. It's just like fundamental, rather. It's caffeine. It gives you energy. And so that's kind of what that has been. And so I think we've loved the space. We've been open about 6 weeks. And we've been loving it. Like, it's just been really cool, and I think out of all the projects I've been a part of, like that space, when it opened up and people came in and they were ordering the drinks that Jeff and our team have been planning and saw the space that Maddie curated and it's fantastic, and so just, it was an art gallery before. And it's just so cool to see the power of spaces, and I know that there's, when we saw people holding the cups and drinking the coffee and ordering stuff and interacting with the things that you've kind of planned, I don't know. I don't have a kid, but I can imagine that a kid feels way better than that. But it was just like really, really cool, really fulfilling to see people enjoying this thing and to see people, love it.
It makes you proud. Like your work was paid off.
It's new. It was a new sensation because I was so close to it. Our team, really kind of all used their gift sets to make this thing happen. And
I think one thing that even hasn't been said yet, but again, where the location is, going towards Manchester, an area where, again, it's continually like being restored, it's revitalizing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is something new and up and coming, and I think that's been a huge help.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is all these conversations, where they took place? They took place in coffee shops. And the initial ideas, initial brainstorms.
Initial breakups.
Yeah, initial breakups. Brainstorming, writing down, planning stuff. You used them, and I think I love the way the culture is here too. Sal and I are friends. Al and I are friends. Alex over there. Everybody at Cup is phenomenal.
They are.
But, the coffee community here is fantastic. And there's a lot of awesome people here.
Yeah, no, I could not agree anymore. Even Jeff's a great guy.
Yeah.
And side note, what's the best coffee to get for when people hear this, they come rushing down to your store? What's the best to get?
Man, so my favorite thing that we have is a cortado because it's got the right amount of milk, the right amount of espresso, and it's just fantastic. But a lot of people love our oat milk vanilla lattes. If if you're, everybody has different levels of coffee. Some people want, an Ethiopian wash pour over, and that's phenomenal. You can really taste it.
Okay. Well, you still owe me a drink, so I will take you up on that offer. Chase, what has been one of the most fruitful experiences you personally found while founding a company, starting these creative projects, team building, uniting people?
Mm-hmm.
What's been probably, if you look back overall, what's been the most rewarding thing for you personally?
I mean, I feel like you could play a montage with some corny music over top of it, and I could see
Oh, I can add that in. Do you want me to?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Gosh. There's all sorts of little milestones. One thing I think about with Wildcat Warehouse is me, Nick, and Nate were doing a store build in Pikeville, and I went down there. It was the first time I went down to Pikeville, and we laid the floor. It was the marketing team. I laid hardwood floor, and that was kind of wake up to small business. Everybody does a little bit of everything. You're not just marketing, my friend. You're laying the wood today. You're laying the hardwood today, and seeing that store go from nothing to this awesome, kind of Rep Arena experience away from Lexington and Pikeville was really cool. Me, Nate, and Nick were down there doing store setup stuff the night before we opened. Then we were there for opening day, and that was really fun. And then there's the one that takes the cake is, I think, probably the coffee shop opening. And we opened on a noon on a Wednesday after we got all of our clearances and got cleared by the health department, got the fire inspection stuff, building inspection done, and people started pouring in. It was just what? They're here. They know about us. It's going to work. That was really cool. And now to go there and to see the space full on a Saturday morning, and people just got done on a run, and they're doing life. It's part of their lives. I think that's just a really cool feeling. And any single one of those companies that I've been a part of, there was a time me and Brent Haluda, we were breaking legit apps into new markets, and just little milestones for that. We were in Knoxville having meetings, and we just would close the deal, and we're yes. It's just it was just really cool to see this product that a product grow, and it's just it's because it's really the power of ideas. It's the power of ideas that happen, because ideas, that's a really popular thing. Is everybody's got ideas. It's about the execution. But it's nothing more beautiful than a well-executed idea. There's an idea. Somebody says, hey, when we need to go do this. And then in improv, there's this theory of yes and.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
So it's this, you accept it. So I say we need to start a taco truck. You could be no. That's the end of that.
And that killed it.
That's the end of the idea, right?
We should start a coffee company.
Yeah, we should. And we should do it down Manchester Street, right? And we should roast our own coffee. And we should have lots of parking. And, whatever.
Yeah, and we keep going.
So you start brainstorming, and it's that collaboration. And then it's, kind of saying, all right, let's divide and conquer. Here's this, here's this, here's this. And then we all go out and do it and bring it back. And here we go. And it's just happens in stages. Rome wasn't built in a day, so it happens in stages. And you see this thing kind of come, and it's just kind of that focus. I think that's been the biggest challenge for me. I don't know, you're in the Enneagram. You like the Enneagram. What are you?
Everyone says I'm either 7 or 3, but let's go 7 wing 8, baby.
That's what I am. So
that's why you like me so much.
That's why.
That makes sense.
That's okay. Right. But so for me, I focus has always been an issue. But, whenever I've been able to focus on something, I've been able to see some traction and see things get done. So I think that's the big thing, is just kind of clearing out stuff and really being clear with what you want. Yeah, so you set goals. You say, what do I want to be in 5 years? What do I want to be in 50 years? And then you backtrack. So that was the biggest thing for me, I think, is when I looked at what I wanted to spend my time doing, I didn't want to be wasting it. And so that's kind of where I am now.
Yeah, speaking of traction, looking down the future, seeing yourself, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever, how do you continue seeing yourself playing a role within Lexington's entrepreneurial community, with Kentucky as a greater whole, with their entrepreneurial community, other than Manchester Studios and Manchester Coffee, because those are going to be here forever?
Man, I don't know. I just really like the idea of collaboration. And, like I said, I went to Startup Weekend in 2010. I went to Startup Weekend last year. Oh, gosh, it's been 2 years.
No, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I didn't see you last year.
What the heck? It's been 2 years ago. Feels like last year.
Well, come this year.
Yeah. But that's something fun. You're not starting. You're not starting your dream baby. I probably wouldn't pitch that there. Mm-hmm. But it's a really fun exercise to get things going. So that's been really fun. And then obviously coming to the 5 Across events here, I think Awesome Inc. has obviously been the forefront leader of elevating entrepreneurship. One thing that I'd like to see is getting more involved at the student level. One thing that we do is we had this Manchester Academy, and we had our kind of first swing at it was in this last semester. We had our first class of interns. We had 6 interns from UK, and it was a program. I had them take the Enneagram test, and I had them, do a bunch of different things and develop them, and so I really like that. I like developing students and helping people find out what they're passionate about. I definitely think that's a part of how I'm wired. So I think probably that. I think I'd like to see more of an investment, whether that's through helping out around here or helping out UK. But that would be something for sure. And then just some new ideas, kind of empowering people who want to do something really great and being a part of helping those things, bringing my skills to the table, saying, yeah, I'm passionate about that. So are you, let's get this on board. Let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing out to the ether. Yeah. But I think just kind of continue to do what I do and have that core focus of, I want people to be involved, because the reality, man, money is not something that I'm super concerned with. Obviously there's.
Yeah. You see it as a resource that comes and goes.
Yeah. I mean, you see it as, it's like but like for me, it's just like, I don't know. Happiness is more so what I'm concerned with. And
that's good.
And so it's not like I want to get to the end of my life and say, man, I wish I would do something different. I want to make those decisions now and live a rich life full of experiences with loving people and sharing everything, and I know that kind of makes me a little more vulnerable, but I think that's life, man. That's the point.
What advice do you have for anyone interested in technology, creative community, creating culture, entrepreneurship, anything in the like? What would you say to them?
I think the biggest game changer for me was self-awareness. I think back to like high school and college, and was really, really, really bad at saying no. Anything that looked like an opportunity, I said yes to. And then I sucked at a lot of stuff. Like I was horrible because I had said yes to too many things. I think when I started to learn that about myself, there was a lot of tests that entered into I think it was Myers-Briggs. It was the first one. And I was like, whoa, this is like, they read my mind. But just kind of getting to know yourself a little bit. I think the more you know yourself, the more you kind of know what you actually want, what motivates you, what, you're excited about. So self-awareness. And then I would think like a commitment to like growing. So kind of start there, get self-aware, like learn about you, ask your friends. Like I've done exercise where I've texted, 20 friends or sat friends down and I came up with a list of questions, said, what do you think about me? What is this? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Blah, blah, blah. And got all those. And I kind of formulated, this is what I'm like. I think this is what people see me as. This is what I see myself as. Had that done. Then I had to say, okay, I need to get better at what I'm good at. I need to strengthen my strengths. And so that comes with reading books. I'm reading a book right now called Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt, which is about just productivity. What does that mean? But I think there's always learning. You just like be aware of who you are and always be learning. That might be more philosophical, less than practical. Practical is goal set. Set goals. What do you want? When do you want it by? How are you going to get it? That kind of stuff. But I think that's, one thing that I've seen over the last 2 years is not the ease at which something can happen, but when you can put the focus, you can clearly say, this is what I'm going to do. And you can put the focus towards it and you can bring others in to supplement where you're weak. You can see things get done. But I know for me, the biggest game changers have been getting self-aware, knowing who I am, knowing my gifts, knowing what I bring to the table and what I don't. And that's pretty much removed most of the obstacles. You need somebody to solve problems, or you need somebody to go share this product and get people talking about it. I can do that. I can get people excited about things. I'm not going to be your spreadsheets guy. I'm not going to be your finances guy. I'm not going to be your account management guy. I'm not really wired that way. And so to know that has been my biggest weapon, my secret weapon, is say, okay, here's how this works. Here's who I need to have on my team to help us grow. And that's been really big. Yeah. But then that's just read.
Okay, so reading, the power and know, self-awareness. Okay,
there you go. There's a lot.
Good. Three simple tips. I like it. Chase, Christopher, Fairchild, let's go create something.
Hey man, yeah, thanks for doing this. Keep it up.
All right, well, that's it. We want to say thank you again so much for checking out the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame podcast. Special thanks to Lee Rosevear for the music that you hear in the show, and to Lexington's Awesome Inc. for hosting us from their space. Again, I'm Garrett Farbach. Make sure to check back and tune in next time. We'll see you then.